Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to completely flip the script on how you look at your to-do list. I'm honestly so excited to dive into this with you because we're going to prove, once and for all, that putting things off, it is not about being lazy. We're going to dig right into the hidden psychology, the neurobiology, and the raw emotions driving this super common behavior. So tell me if this sounds familiar. I'll just start tomorrow, right? We have all been there. You've got this massive looming deadline next week, but instead of, actually starting, tomorrow rolls around and somehow you find yourself hopelessly scrolling on your phone, watching bizarre videos, literally doing anything except the one thing you actually need to do. And then comes that crushing guilt. It doesn't matter if you're a student putting off studying, a professional dodging a project, or even a highly successful CEO. We all avoid the exact things we know we should be doing. It's like 3 hours before a deadline, and suddenly, deep cleaning your room or color coordinating your desk becomes your absolute top priority. Throw in 30 minutes of just checking my phone real quick, and you're left with this tiny microscopic sliver of time for actual work. But hey, before you beat yourself up too much, let go of the shame, because your brain is actually doing exactly what it was designed to do. Let's kick things off by unmasking our first culprit, the biological villain of comfort. You see, as humans, we are fundamentally wired to run away from discomfort. Thousands of years ago, finding the easiest path and conserving energy, well, that kept our ancestors alive. It was literal survival. But fast forward to today, and that exact same ancient mechanism is still running the show in your head. When you sit down to do difficult work, your brain actually detects it as an uncomfortable physical threat, and it tries to protect you. How? By distracting you with super comfortable, easy digital pleasures. You're basically choosing immediate safety over future rewards. Moving on to the next piece of the puzzle, the emotional villain of fear and perfectionism. Here's something that might completely surprise you. Procrastination is rarely a sign that you just don't care. Actually, it's often a huge emotional symptom that you care entirely too much. It acts as a shield against disappointment. Think about it. By delaying the start of a project, your overly protective brain is making sure you never really have to face the terrifying possibility that your work might fail or, just not be good enough. Ironically, using this shield creates way more stress later on, but right in that moment, it feels incredibly safe. Which leads us right into our next section, the perfectionism trap. We constantly lie to ourselves, right? We say, oh, I'll start when I'm fully prepared, or I just need the absolute perfect idea to hit me before I begin. But guys, perfection simply does not exist. The hard truth here is that done is better than perfect. Progress always, always beats perfection. Highly successful people, they completely avoid this trap of waiting for the stars to align. They know that diving in and doing it poorly at first is infinitely better than waiting forever for flawless conditions. This whole emotional struggle turns into a literal daily battle for your attention. On one side, you've got instant gratification, social media, video games, stuff that gives you these immediate, awesome little bursts of dopamine and excitement. On the flip side, you have your long-term goals, studying, getting fit, building a business, things that take weeks, maybe even years to actually show results. Your brain is sitting there constantly weighing these two options. And predictably, it asks, why on earth should I work hard right now for some distant reward when this notification gives me instant pleasure right this very second? Next up, let's talk about the paralysis of overwhelm. You see, sometimes we aren't procrastinating just to seek pleasure. We do it because the sheer massive size of our goal literally freezes us in our tracks. I mean, write a 100-page book sounds incredibly intimidating, almost impossible, right? It triggers an immediate urge to run away. But contrast that with write one paragraph. Suddenly, oh, okay, that's highly manageable. By shrinking a massive, intimidating goal down into a tiny, bite-sized microstep, you entirely remove the anxiety. Usually the hardest part isn't the actual work, it's just the act of starting. That brings us to the next critical piece, the emotional cycle. Because scientific discoveries show that our emotions can easily overpower our logic, we frequently get trapped in this paralyzing loop. Let's break it down. Step 1, you feel stress, fear, or maybe some major self-doubt about a task. That pushes you right into step 2, avoidance. You seek out easier things just for some temporary relief. But that brief comfort vanishes fast, dropping you straight into step 3, intense guilt. And what does guilt do? It feeds directly into step 4, increased stress, which, you guessed it, just restarts the entire vicious cycle all over again.
And hey, if you're sitting there thinking, well, I'm pretty smart, I can outthink this cycle, think again. Honestly, highly intelligent people often procrastinate way more simply because they overthink everything. Intelligence is absolutely no defense against your own brain chemistry. In fact, some of the absolute brightest folks struggle the most because they endlessly analyze, they wait for the absolute perfect moment, and they set completely unrealistic expectations for themselves. Procrastination isn't a knowledge problem, it's a habit and emotion problem.
All right, time for the good stuff, the antidote, breaking free. Now that we've completely shattered this myth of laziness and unmasked the true neurobiology behind it, it's time to fight back. Here is your actionable toolkit. First up, start ridiculously small. Instead of blocking out 3 hours, commit to working for just 5 minutes. I promise that 5 minutes often magically turns into 30. Second, remove the distractions. Put the phone in another room. Third, stop aiming for perfection. Your first attempt just needs to literally exist. And finally, this is crucial. Forgive yourself. Beating yourself up only creates more stress. By using these forgiving micro-steps, you bypass your brain's alarm system and actually build real momentum. Listen, you are not broken, and you are definitely not lazy. You're just human. Your brain is simply trying to choose comfort and avoid fear. But now you have the awareness, and awareness is power. So stop waiting for this magical wave of motivation to hit you. Let go of needing everything to be flawless, and simply take the very first entirely imperfect step today. Because honestly, sometimes the only difference between success and failure isn't motivation, it's just the simple act of beginning. The future version of you is going to be so grateful you did. I want to leave you with this one final thought. What is one thing you have been procrastinating on lately? Seriously, think about it. Is it a phone call you've been dreading? A huge project? Or maybe